Hello everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be using the ever-loved Dust Bunnies from Trinity Stamps. This was brought out of the vault and I can see why, for good reason, because these things are absolutely adorable. So we're going to stamp up almost all the images from there. And then we do have the matching dies to go along with it. I love how the dies can cut out the words too. Super cute. I do love that. The only one it doesn't have for is the many blessings coming, which is a sweet little sentiment. We're also going to be using the Stay Tuned die. This is an adorable retro television, those console TVs that, yes, I am old enough to remember those. And then we're also going to be using the double line checked background that was released back in May of 23, but I love these backgrounds. To save a little time, I did go ahead and stamp out my images using some Blackout ink by Ink on 3 onto some Express It cardstock. I find for me that is some of the best combination for alcohol marker coloring. And so I'm using my Olo markers, and I decided with this I really wanted to go with a different type of color palette. I've done these bunnies up with browns and grays, and I thought let's do a blue violet, which is, I suppose, a step up from some of the grays, you know, because if you use those lighter colors, they just look like a more purplish hue of the gray. And so that's what I decided to do with these little bunnies. And you'll notice that I'm coloring a little differently than I normally do on the insides of those bunnies. Normally I would just go lightest to darkest, but I thought I would try going mid-range to start, just to see how that would blend out. And so I put a little bit of a base just on the edges using my Blue Violet 4.4. I blended that out with the 4.2, and then I'm adding stippling. I just can't help it with these bunnies. I think the stippling makes them seem quite a bit more fluffy for some reason. It gives them the illusion that they're a little bit more curly. And so, yeah, that's my tip for you all. If you want to make your bunnies look a little more fluffy, try stippling. If you're unfamiliar with what stippling is, it's very simple. All you do is take your marker, I suppose whatever medium that you're using, and you want to make little dots. The markers are the easiest for this because you can simply just pounce your marker up and down. You know, if you keep your marker at a 90-degree angle to the paper, you can just pounce your marker up and down and put dots of different sizes. I recommend some big, some small, and you want to be a little bit sparing with the dark ones, but if you go a little heavy, then you can always blend that out using your midtones and your lightest color. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I started stippling with that darkest purple, or blue violet, the 4.5. I brought in the 4.4, and now I'm bringing it out even further using that 4.2. And so it just makes them look so fluffy. And I love them in this blue violet. I want to experiment with some other colors too. I know most of us probably don't have dust bunnies that are this color. Maybe we do in our craft rooms. I'm not sure. If you work with fabric, maybe your dust bunnies are different colors. Who knows? I'll have to ask my mom. She's a quilter. So, but you know what? She's actually quite the cleaner. So I highly doubt that there's a single dust bunny in her house. Anyway, yeah, so back to coloring up these cute little bunnies. You'll notice I've also brought in that R5.3. I really wanted to stick to a very simple color palette of these blue violets, and I do bring in some gold and yellow because those are complementary colors on the color wheel, and so those go really well together when you're wanting to pair up colors. If you want something to be fairly bold, bring in complementary colors. And so I'm very sparing with the 5.3 red color. I just use it on their cheeks and nose, and then I do color the sentiments with it as well. And for my neutral colors, you'll see I bring in some browns and some craft. But otherwise, we are sticking to the bold purples and the yellows, and I feel like that really makes this card pop. So on to our last little bunny, same little process. Colored the edges with that mid-tone, brought in some stippling for our 4.5. And then I will work backwards from there using the 4.4 and then the 4.2 to bring that out even further, just to soften those edges. He's so cute, the little sleeping one. All right, and then we'll color up our little feather dusters. I'm using some yellow orange 2.2. Sorry, that one is not on the screen very well. I think I bring it down a little bit later. And then we have our 2.5, and we even bring in our 2.7 here in a little bit for our handle, and then to just add a little bit more darkness to his beak and his little feet. And we'll do that for both of them. So as you can already see, those two contrasting colors next to each other look good. And you could try that with any of them if you wanted blue and orange, or if you wanted red and green. Of course, that's Christmassy, but maybe you want some little Christmassy dust bunnies. I'm not sure. Maybe that would be fun. Have a little Christmas dust bunnies. There you go. All right, we'll finish him up, and then I'll bring in that red one more time, that red 5.0, and then we'll color the words dust, 5.3. We'll color the words dust and the word achu. Typically, I would add a darker color to the bottom of that just to give it more of an ombre look, but I figured these are small enough. We're just going to stick with the pink the way that it is. Then we need to bring in our matching dies to go along with these cute little bunnies. I put them all over all of it. The only one I don't die cut out is the For You. I only need the word dust. So there they are, so super cute. And now we're going to bring in that double line check background. And the way I like to use these is to just peel off that protector, and then I ink up the stamp the way that it is. And I have a piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. This is one of my purples. I'm running out of my purple. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put that right onto the stamp. And I use my fingers. You could put a piece of copy paper over the top and rub it that way so you wouldn't get ink on your fingers. But I am good just like this. We'll clean that up. That did a very good job of stamping. And then just to frame up our piece, I'm going to bring in a blending buddy with that purple, and we're going to just blend it right on the edges of our panel. It just gives it a nice little frame. Then I'm going to add some gold splatter because I just want to. You know I love my splatter, and I feel like that just really makes it pop. And I'm going to set that off to the side to dry while we put together our console TV. So like I said, I am old enough to remember a console TV. We had one in our basement. That thing was so big and heavy. So it's funny when you think about a console TV back then, how once you put it in the room, that's where it was. you weren't moving it around. It was way too heavy for that. And so as you can see, I used a dark brown for my background. I've used some craft cardstock for the middle of the console. And then I did die cut out quite a few of those little pieces using some gold. If I remember correctly, the one I had in our basement when I was a child had silver, but I really wanted the gold. And I'm using my tidy tray to hold all those pieces. It's a great way to do it. And then I'm just using my liquid glue to adhere everything down. There are some very tiny pieces with this one. And this is where your pickup stick comes in super handy too. I could have differentiated the colors there, but I decided to stick with all gold. And that liquid glue gives you plenty of time to move things around if you need to. You'll see what I'm talking about later. There are 8 tiny little pieces for the buttons. And again, this is where that pickup stick comes in so super handy. And I'm just putting them down. I will worry about straightening them later. Like I said, that liquid glue makes it really great for being able to put those down and then move them where you need to. And so I just flip it over and use the pick part of it to straighten everything out. And don't worry about the glue. It will dry matte and clear. On the gold, that can be a little bit of a problem if you go too excessive with your glue, but you're not going to see this too much once this card is done. So then we've got all those on there. We'll straighten that out. And then I am going to go ahead and start adding that television to our card panel. Everything's nice and dry now. So I've put the base for the television. Now we're going to put the TV, and this is where I start moving those little buttons around. That glue works well once the time comes, once it's actually dry. So one of those buttons is clear up, as you can see. So I'm going to have to move it down, but it'll dry eventually. And for the middle of the television, I had gone ahead and I die cut the center out of white. I'm going to put the antenna on top as well. My suggestion with the antenna is to put the long antenna pieces down first and then put this piece over the top of that. I didn't do that, and by this point it was a little too late. You don't even have to use the antenna if you don't want to. I don't remember the one we had upstairs having an antenna. Or no, the one downstairs. I don't think it had an antenna. So you wouldn't have to. So here is that centerpiece. I'm just taking what's left on my blender brush of that purple that I had earlier and just adding a nice little frame of that around the white. Clean up my mess, and then I'm going to stamp the words "Dust for You" onto that. If you remember correctly, we had gone ahead and die cut out the word dust, so we will add that after we're done adhering this in. So we'll find that one out, and then we'll just go ahead and glue this right on the top. So cute. And then I'm going to build up my scene. So we're going to make this cute little scene with all these dust bunnies. This just came to me because I was thinking about when I was a child. Sometimes my chore was to dust that giant television. I say giant. The screen itself was not very big, but the TV was huge. All those components inside those console televisions. Tell you what. So yeah, that was one of my jobs on occasion. So I'll put the little feather duster in his paw, and then we'll put the other one in his little paw. And then I'm going to add just one more dust bunny to the front so that we have 3 of them on there. I feel like that really rounds out this little scene. And then we can attach this down to our base. Our base measured 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it was scored at 4 1/4, so it is a top folding A2 size card. And then I do want to add our last little bunny to the inside, so we'll just use a little more liquid glue on him and add him to the inside. He's so cute. And the word "achoo." It's just a fun way to tie the inside to the outside. So cute. And then as a last bit of embellishment, I am bringing in some gold star embellishments. I absolutely love these things, and they just go perfectly with this. They're a little bit iridescent, as you can see. So I'm going to use that liquid glue and my pickup stick to put those down. I put a bunch more around, and then that's going to finish off our card. I just love how this turned out. I hope you do too. I hope that makes you want to experiment with your colors a little bit. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.